All right. Well, I think that's everything, right? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday show here on the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and we are burning up the last night of streaming for this week. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be back on Wednesday or not. I got a lot of things going on. I got to be out of town, and then I'm going to try to get back in time for Wednesday's show, but if not, just so you know, fair warning, I may not be able to do a show on Wednesday. Also, a little foreshadowing. I'm going to be doing a live investigation, a week from tomorrow in Wallace, Idaho, at a haunted hotel down there. And Wallace is a pretty cool community for paranormal activity. There's a lot of strange stuff that happens there in Wallace, Idaho. It's a very old town. If you ever saw the movie Dante's Peak, that's the town where they filmed a lot of that movie. That's going way back in the Wayback Machine, but a cool community. I've driven through there many times. I've just not spent any time there, but I've heard about Wallace forever. And so Charles and I, a week from tomorrow, are going to be going and investigating at a hotel that's pretty famous for some haunting stuff. So we'll see. I'm going to try to stream at least part of it, and we'll see how that works. I think it should be okay, but it should be a great time. You're right, Barbara. Hello to everybody that's here, by the way. I don't know how you're doing, but I hope you're doing wonderful. I'm doing great just knowing you're here and taking part of my Saturday evening. Hello, Wes. How you doing, brother? Wes is a chat moderator here. Maybe you didn't know that. And apparently the sheriff showed up tonight, so we'll see how that goes. Might be a whole lot of band hammers running. I'm not sure. Hope he's in a good mood. All right, so Bad Boy Channel's over there on Rumble. Hello, brother. Good to see you over there. Great to have you coming in. Who is all here? I know Phil Funk is here. Phil was the first one in the door when I fired up the marquee on the front of the theater saying, hey, there's a show coming. But Rachel is here also. Owl 13 is here as well. Annie Manula is here, although Annie's not feeling well tonight. So
Julianne.
Says Julianne. Anybody recognize that name? I don't know. That's a strange one. It doesn't usually spit out names that often. Julianne, is that familiar to anybody? Does that resonate with any of you? I don't know. It's I got to look into it though, because wouldn't it be crazy if the haunted hotel we're going to check out, there's apparently an old school teacher from way back in history that's believed to haunt it. And I don't know if that's her name or not, but if that's her name, that will be pretty crazy. I got to look at my notes from Charles that he sent me about it, but wouldn't that come on, if that is the name, you gotta admit that's really freaking weird, but I'll look into it. But the ghost radar is right here. That's the ghost radar. It also has a word database built into it. Usually it spits out nonsense words, if it spits out anything at all, but sometimes there's surprising relevancy to it. And it's a roll of the dice. So anyway, who else is here? Chucky Danger popped in. Good to see you, brother. It is also time tonight for the Discord question of the week, which is championed by our very own Chucky Danger. So very, very cool. I'm glad you're here, Chucky. It makes it even more special when you're here. So Weapon X5 is in here. Great to see you as well. Karen Alberding. I'm sure Neil is there with you. So hello to you both. Marie Garman came in. Good to see you, Marie. Deborah Neighbors is here. Kitty Cattywack is here. Great to see you guys. New law around here. Wyatt Earp voice, Mr. Wes Germer himself. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for coming in tonight and hanging out. Happy Dog Lady's here, as is Jem Gwyn. And I'm just scrolling quickly to see what's going on. Just stop by to say hi, Wes said. Well, welcome anytime, brother. You can hang out as much as you want or as little as you want. It's totally it's literally a saloon door around here. It goes both ways. So nobody's trapped for the duration, but I hope you guys stick around. Elaine Clifford's here. Jed Maxwell is here. And anyone else as I'm going through the names? John Stevenson. How you doing, John? Good to see you. Laura Lovegood is here. Good to see you, Laura. Thanks for coming in. And any new name? Bogart is here. And Bad Boy Channel is also over here on YouTube. He's kind of all over the place, man. Guy's a machine. Justin Goodearth popped in over on Rumble. Good to see you, Justin. And let's see. I don't know where we're going to get. Jill Decker is on Facebook checking in. Good to see you, Jill. Thank you for coming in. And Larry and Shirley Bell is over on Facebook as well. So great to see you guys over there. Good to know Facebook is working. I haven't seen anything from Twitter or Twitch. Twitter or Twitch. X is the same as Twitter. I got to get that right in my head. I'm still like, I don't know, stroking out on that. X is Twitter, and I haven't heard from anybody there, nor have I heard from anybody over on Twitch, but I assume they're working, because if the other ones are working, it must be as well. So we got a lot to get to. Obviously, we're going to do some news. I did not answer this week. Had not heard the subject, so being in the information desert, I passed. Hubby's right next to me. Oh, okay, good to see that. And that's fine. There's no prerequisite that you have to answer the question of the week. It's just if you have something to say it. Don't be worried about whether you know enough about something or not. Throw out your wildest ideas. I mean, it's just as valid as anyone else's ideas. So don't think twice about it. That's always good. Smashing, smashy, likey. That's like some real Tarzan talk there, Laura. Lake Diamond is here. Good to see you from Germany popping in. Excellent to have you here. So that's kind of the hellos and the how you doings and stuff. Now, before we go any further, I just want to put this back out there. Again, I'm going to be doing some conferences coming up right at the beginning of September. Of course, I'll be appearing at Phenomicon in Vernal, Utah, and that'll be right at the beginning of September. If you're going to make the journey, there's a hell of a lot of reasons to make that journey. There's some great speakers going to be showing up. George Knapp, George Norrie. There's Nick Pope is going to be there. So like the UFO community is really represented this year over there, as is the Bigfoot community with, I think Maria Mayer is going to be there from Expedition Bigfoot, and the Secret of Skinwalker Ranch cast. The Secret of Blind Frog Ranch is going to be there as well. There's just so many people going to be there. It's pretty crazy. Jack Osborne is going to be there. Of course, Jack Osborne is Ozzy's son, but he's also really cut his teeth on the whole paranormal world and doing a lot of production efforts to research a lot of it. So that's fantastic, and he's an Idaho boy now himself, so that's pretty cool. Jack is my neighbor somewhere in the state. I have no idea where he is, but he's here somewhere, and he's going to be in Vernal, as is Amy Bruni of Ghost Hunters and Kindred Spirits is going to be there. There's just a ton of people going to be at Vernal, Utah, so check that one out. And then the end of September in Missouri, I'm going to be appearing at the Crossing Realms Conference, and that is the collaboration of the Blondes and the Booze and Texas Front Porch, being at Bigfoot Michigan Rob and Monica, and the whole team of amazing creators that have kind of come together in that community, including myself, are going to be there. And there's going to be some great stuff going on, including ghost walks that are going to be available to attendees to check out. There is a ghost investigation the first night there prior to the actual day of the event, but that's VIP and ticketed only, and that was all sold out already. But there's a lot going on, and it's a great chance to say hi. And then at the end, towards the end of October, I'm going to be here. And that is the Barrel House Z in Weymouth, Massachusetts. My tongue quit working halfway through Massachusetts. It was like Massachusetts. Sorry, no offense to anybody over on the East Coast in Massachusetts, but my tongue decided to phone that in. And I'm going to be there with them. We're going to be doing a live event there at the Barrel House Z in Weymouth, Massachusetts. So go to Eventbrite and check out the Crossing Realms Conference to get tickets there, as well as the Hometown Ghost Stories live event that's going to be going on. First one is in Missouri. The second one, obviously, in Massachusetts. So those are the 3 events I know I'm going to be doing, and I'd love to be able to meet you guys. So if you can make it happen, come show up, come say hi. I just think it's really cool when I get the opportunity to meet you guys and to talk with you and shake your hands and to thank you in person for all your love and support. That's what's really cool. So Big D popped in over on Rumble. Good to see you. That is wonderful. What city, Brent? What city for what? Brent, put in a good word for me at these conferences. You're welcome to drive to Missouri with me, brother, if you want. That would be great. I'd need the company. It's going to be 21 hours of road for me on that one. I'm flying to Missouri or to Massachusetts, though. But the Massachusetts one is in Weymouth. The Missouri one is in Richmond, Missouri. And that is the Crossing Realms Conference. That's at the end of, towards the end of September. So, but yeah, Richmond, Missouri. Yes, sir. Yep. Thank you, Yeshua. Appreciate you filling in the blanks for me. I'm from Massachusetts and still get tied up saying it. Well, Phil, I expect to see you at that event in Massachusetts. That'd be great. And yeah, Wes, you wanna ride share with me? You're welcome to for any of those. Not October 24th, hubby's birthday. Way too far to drive. I can't think of a better way to say happy birthday than head over to Massachusetts. No, that's understandable. I know I'll probably see you in Vernal, though, right, Karen? You're going to be there, right? So I've met Karen at several conferences already. Her and Neil have been staples at most of the conferences I've been to, so that's been really wonderful. But yeah, I'd love to meet all you guys if I could. Boston Celtics, not really. I'm not really a Celtics fan. Not that I'm not either. I guess I'm a Minnesota guy. I'm a Minnesota guy, so I got to go with the Wolves just because, well, I mean, I could go with the Lakers because the Lakers actually started in Minnesota, believe it or not, way, way, way back in the day. 21-hour drive, I'd rather get hit by a car. That's still an option on this 21-hour drive, Wes. That could happen if I'm driving. I'm just saying, there's no guarantees, buckle up. But, yeah, I know. It's a lot of road. It's going to be a lot of road. But I'll even let you be the big spoon at the hotel stopovers. All right. So anyway, lots going on, and I'd love to have a chance to meet you guys if you can be there. So we're old. It'd probably take us 4 days. Well, there you go. Extended birthday celebration. 4 days of fun. Hey, Ghost Dragon ZW. Used to go to those things, but I kept getting kicked out because... what? Kicked out because I get to sneezing and catch crap on fire. Well, yeah, it's a bit of a problem. I don't know.
Precipitation.
That is some precipitation when people sneeze fire. Yeah. I guess the ghost box said precipitation. So Wes, all right. I'm just thinking we're trying to, go in Dutch on this stuff. I'm just saying. I don't have that Merkel money, I got to save money where I can. All right, there we go. That is the lineup so far tonight. We're going to get to some news here in a minute, and then we're going to get to the Discord question of the week. We're going to get to the what the hell is that and the cryptid corner and whatever else we can squeeze into the time we got. So we got, under 2 hours now. So I guess we should get started. Ghostbox is super busy. You're right, Murray. It's got a lot to say. Precipitation right after the sneezing remark. I still don't know what Julianne is all about. I got to look at that. I got to see. I'm going to have to check with Charles. What's the name of that teacher? Well, let me see if I can message him quick. I don't think he's probably sticking by his... maybe he even said it to me in a message. Here we go. Investigation Sunday. Ryan, Hotel Room 11. The school teacher's room in Wallace. What was her name, though? That's what I want to know. It doesn't really say. I guess I got to look it up. But it's the school teacher's room that we're going to be investigating. So, anyway. Charles is just a great guy. I've just had so much fun investigating with him. So, I can't see anything in his notes that would talk about the name, but I'm going to have to look into that. That'd be really creepy if that was the right name. Okay, well, that's all I can think of on the front end, so let's dive into this and get to some news, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. It's time for the news. ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the news. We're going to get to the news. And by God, we're going in. All right. Well, that's nice. Laura Lovegood says, I'd put you and Wes up for a couple of days. You're talking about, what does that mean? We're going to be strung up like, oh, damn it. I don't know what that means. Good to see you, Ghost Dragon. Thanks for coming in. The news. You got it right, Yeshua. It's time for the news, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get to the news now, and this is the production of news articles that at least I find interesting, and are not all paranormal related, but they're interesting. I hope you guys find some merit and value in this. I'm just saying, I think it's fun. The first one is kind of a bizarre article. It has to do with science and technology, but before we dive into this, I want to just, again, reiterate, I do this at the beginning of every show, because I think it's important to support these sources as much as we can. I use a lot of different websites throughout the course of these shows, and these are exceptionally well done websites. And I just want to ask you guys, please, to support these sites. Please visit them. There's so much going on all of them than I could ever cover. I'd have, I just honestly, there's hundreds and thousands of stories and information and articles and stuff that I just could never find time to get to. But I just think it's important to shine a light on what they're doing, because they're doing it well. They're doing it incredibly well, and we got to keep these sites online. We got to keep them going, so please visit them. Give them your traffic, your love, your support. Your traffic does equal revenue, and keep the lights on for them. So, and for all of us. So please visit these sites, and if you leave a message on their message board, let them know the portal sent you. All right, the first article is from Science and Technology. This one's kind of interesting. I don't know what it's going to say, because honest to God, I don't pre-read anything on these shows. I pull up articles and I read them when we're together. So, and that's probably a good thing to throw out there, because oftentimes I butcher language like you wouldn't believe. I try to read it as well as I can, but I run across words that I have no idea what to do with. So please understand, it's not me slamming on, different cultures or regions of the world. It's just my tongue only can do so much. So we'll do the best we can. Here we go. Here it is. 100 years on, quantum physicists still can't agree on anything. After 100 years, ladies and gentlemen, apparently, of quantum physics, they can't agree on anything. What does this say? A new survey carried out on the 100th anniversary of modern quantum mechanics has revealed deep uncertainties. If there's one aspect of physics that's likely to give just about anyone a headache, it's quantum mechanics. A profoundly complex and often counterintuitive field that scientists still struggle to fully understand even to this day. Despite being established 100 years ago, quantum mechanics continues to challenge our understanding of reality, shaking the foundations of classic physics and introducing concepts so strange they still baffle scientists and enthusiasts alike. Now, in celebration of this anniversary, Nature asked over 1,000 physicists for their thoughts on some of the field's most hotly debated questions. Perhaps most striking takeaway was just how divisive these big questions remain, with experts disagreeing on nearly every major issue. According to complexity, many of the responses were characterized by uncertainty, reflecting the ongoing mysteries at the heart of the quantum theory. That said, most, 86% as a matter of fact, agreed that an intuitive physical interpretation of math in quantum mechanics is valuable, while 72% agreed that quantum theory will eventually be replaced by a more complete theory. Ultimately, this lack of consensus not only underscores the enigmatic nature of quantum mechanics itself, but also highlights just how much there is to discover in our quest to understand the universe. So it didn't even tell us much anything other than they don't know. And now in the news, they don't know. Next story. Quantum mechanics is fascinating. It is when you think about things like quantum entanglement and that alone is just mind-boggling with the ramifications of it. And that is, if you were to take and dissect an atom and take a neutron and then a proton and split them up and put them on opposite sides of the galaxy. If you move one on one side of the galaxy, the other one in real time will move in an identical motion. It kind of shows that time and space as we understand it isn't really the nature of things. And what are the ramifications of that? I don't know. It's mind-numbing to think about what that could mean. What is the nature of the universe? I don't know. And obviously I don't know. But it's also kind of daunting that even these people that dive into this stuff all the time don't know either. It kind of sounds like the paranormal. Or the Bigfoot world, or any of this stuff, ufologists. We just don't know. There's a lot of people out there that'll tell you all day long what they know. Think of Neil deGrasse Tyson. That guy knows everything. Just ask him. But there's a lot of stuff we don't know. And I'm not bagging on Neil deGrasse Tyson. I think he's probably an incredibly intelligent guy. It's just he comes across so arrogant. It's just like, oh my God. With that laughingly dismissive. It's like, oh, shove a sandwich in that noise hole. Anyway, there you go. They don't know. We don't know. So the ground just got a lot more, the playing field just got a lot more even. So, rather than that pulpit that scientists usually sit up on and preach to us about all of the things we don't know versus they know. And then maybe they don't know as much as they think. But we'll find out someday eventually. But that's the first story. I don't know. All right, let's get to the next one. This one's from Space and Astronomy of Unexplained-Mysteries.com. Hairball. An alien world close to home, the ongoing hunt for Planet 9. I thought we already had it nailed. We called it Pluto when I was growing up, but then they said that's not a planet. I'm going to get a t-shirt that says Pluto is a planet. Prove me wrong. It's always a planet when I was growing up, and then somebody decided, oh, it's not a planet. What are they, the god of planets? Whatever. It was a planet my whole childhood. It still is in my mind. Let's see what this says, though. For years, scientists have been hunting for evidence of a large undiscovered planet lurking in the outer solar system. Oh, God, look at how long that is. We're not reading all this one. I'll put a link into the chats if anybody wants to learn more. This is written by Ian Whitaker. He says, is there a massive undiscovered planet on the outer reaches of the solar system? Pluto? No. Oh, sorry. The idea has been around since before the discovery of Pluto in the 1930s. Labeled as Planet X, prominent astronomers have put it forward as an explanation for Uranus's orbit. Sorry, I'm such a kid. Which drifts from the path of orbital motion that physics would expect it to follow. The gravitational pull of an undiscovered planet several times larger than Earth was seen as a possible reason for the discrepancy. That mystery was ultimately explained by a recalculation of Neptune's mass in the 90s, but then a new theory of potential Planet 9 was being put forward in 2016 by astronomer Konstantin Batygin, or however the hell you say that, and Mike Brown at Caltech, the California Institute of Technology. Their theory relates to the Kuiper Belt, a giant belt of dwarf planets, asteroids, and other matter that lies beyond Neptune and includes Pluto. Many Kuiper Belt objects are also referred to as the trans-Neptunian objects. Didn't know that before today. Could have been fine never knowing that. But anyway, there you go. Has been discovered orbiting the sun, but unlike Uranus, they don't do so in a continuous expected direction. Batygin and Brown argued that something with a large gravitational pull must be affecting their orbit and proposed Planet 9 as a potential explanation. I don't know. I'm still saying Pluto. Let's look for number 10 if you want, but don't tell me Pluto is not a planet. Just saying. All right. I'm going to put the link in here if anybody wants to read more. Read more. And you can do a book report on it and be featured right here on the show. A couple articles or less. A couple paragraphs or less, I should say. there you go. I don't know. Planet 9. They're looking for it. If you've seen just put posters out on telephone poles. Have you seen me? And it's like a planet with a smiley face. I'm just saying, Planet 9. It could be out there. I don't know. I don't even know. All right, let's go to the next one. This one has to do with spirituality in a weird way. I don't know why it got filed in spirituality, because it has to do with something that seems more cryptozoology, but let's check it out from unexplained-mysteries.com. Controversy surrounds Denver Seminary's bizarre Yeti bloodbath. Huh? I didn't know anything about this, but let's see what's going on. The incident, which involved a group of Denver's St. John's Vianney Theological Seminary, occurred during a ski trip. A very strange story from Denver, Colorado, made local news headlines earlier this month. It involved a group of 15 seminaries who had been studying at Denver's St. John Vianney Theological Seminary when they were taken on a skiing trip to a house in the mountains by the rector of the time, Father John Nepple. That's not nipple, that's Nepple. According to reports, the group had been awoken in the middle of the night and were told to sit silently in the living room and wait to be called one by one into a trailer that was sitting outside. Jeez, that sounds like a 10 on the creepy scale. What? No, I don't think so. Upon entering the trailer, the seminary is reported being faced with not only Father Nepil, but an individual wearing a full Yeti costume, and were told to sit at a table on which sat a dagger and a dollar bill. Holy cult, what the hell is this? The seminarian would then be told to lay their arm on the table and make a blood oath to enter into this family by way of a sacred tradition, seemingly involving being cut by a knife. Oh no, that's horrible. The seminary would then be told to lay their arm... Oh, I read that, sorry. Those who committed, however, were never actually harmed, instead being considered devoted enough to have their own blood substituted in the ritual with bear blood. Oh my God, it's time for some defunding. They were then told to scream at the top of their lungs to show commitment to the tradition. Unsurprisingly, once word got out about this ritual, the incident went on to generate a great deal of controversy. Even the police were called out, though they took no action in this case. In the end, it was revealed that the whole thing had been an ill-judged prank. That's not a good prank. Members of the St. John Vianney Theological Seminary community were filming participating in a prank, being asked to take the blood oath and other imprudent behavior, Archdiocese of Denver said. Fortunately, the investigation uncovered that this event was a farce, that no oath had taken place, and at no time was there risk of bodily harm. It was, however, part of a deeply imprudent and inappropriate prank. Well, no, it was more than that. That's some twisted crap right there. I mean, that's not... These are people that are devoting themselves to a very, very distinct religious ideology. And then to give them a cult oath. I mean, whether it's a prank or not, what the hell? That's some twisted crap right there. That's really, really bizarre. I think somebody should be... maybe scrubbing toilets after that instead of leading a seminary. That's not good at all. Wow. Not that there's anything wrong with cleaning toilets, don't get me wrong, but that's not what you'd expect from your religious leaders and mentors is, hey, let's just make them think we're going to do a blood oath with a Yeti. Ugh, that's disturbing as hell. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that, folks. That's all kinds of... That's so many levels of stupid. I can't even breathe. All right, here you go. There's a little interesting from the world of paleontology for all of you more clinically and scientifically minded folks. Here's some information you might not have known before today, and you will now. I'm going to learn it right along with you. I saw the headline. I was like, what? Let's see where this goes. Sorry. All right, new fossil discovery hints at the surprising origin of spiders. from unexplained-mysteries.com. I didn't really need to know, but let's find out what it says. You researchers at the University of Arizona have revealed that spiders didn't originate where you might expect. I had no idea where they originated. Haven't they always kind of just been here? Let's see what it says. With their 8 legs and intricate web-building abilities, modern spiders are among the most recognizable and arguably the most unsettling creatures to be found in nearly every corner of the world. I got something coming up in what the hell is that about spiders today, so you're welcome in advance. Hundreds of millions of years ago, however, the ancestor of today's arachnids lived in a very different environment deep down in the Earth's oceans. The fossilized remains of such a creature named whatever the hell that word is, Mollissonia symmetrica, I guess, were recently analyzed as part of a new study by researchers at the University of Arizona. Dating back 500 million years, the remains, and in particular the creature's fossilized brain, have revealed that these animals thrived in the sea long before venturing onto land. Like what, everything else? Didn't everything come from like fish or some kind of fish, according to scientific ideas? Anyway, let's continue. Once thought to be an ancestor of the horseshoe crabs, this long extinct Cambrian period species is now thought to have been far more closely related to spiders. In particular, the organization of its brain was uniquely spider-like. Well, there you go. It wasn't just spiders that evolved from Mollissonia symmetrica either, as they were most likely the common ancestor of scorpions as well. It's still vigorously debated where and when arachnids first appeared and what kind of, what the hell is that word? Chelicerates? Chelicerates were their ancestors? I don't even know if that's right, but that's the best work I'm going to be able to do on that. And whether these were marine or semi-aquatic like horseshoe crabs, said lead author Professor Nick Strasfeld. Well, there you go. They might have come from the sea. I mean, honestly, they look like everything else from the sea, except fish. But I mean, when you think of like crabs and when you think of shrimp, there's lots of all the exoskeleton stuff. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. I guess honestly, I don't know. I just learned that now, though. They came from the sea. There you go. Not horseshoe crabs. You probably didn't know that before today. I didn't even know the horseshoe crab thing, so that was a double education for me. There you go. I don't know. That's been the news, though. I hope you guys enjoyed that. There's a few stories. Truth or tinfoil's in here. Good to see you, man. I don't know where spiders are from, but I've sent many to hell. There's that. I like spiders. I like them because they eat all the stuff I don't like. But that's going to be the news. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let's get back to the rest of the show. So do you suppose that it's possible that we could just like grab little spiders and snap their legs and then dip them in melted butter? And would that work? Yeah, I'm an idiot full time here, folks. Not just because I got a microphone. This is how my brain works all the time. It's a pretty frightening place in here. That was the news. I hope you guys liked that. I just realized I didn't open up Discord yet, because that is a little foreshadowing to what's coming next. If you didn't already guess, we're going to be getting to that now. And the part that we're getting to now is, that's it. Wait a minute. What are we doing here? I got to make sure I'm at the first part of this.
Onto.
What'd you say? Onto? What the hell does onto have to do with anything? O-N-T-O. Onto. Onto the next part of the show? Fair enough. On to the Discord question of the week, I think is what it's trying to say. Good idea. ladies and gentlemen, it's time for that. Exactly. Yeah, I think you guys are all, yeah, he's telling you. I guess so. He's like, get on with it. Get on with it. Get on to it. On to the Discord question of the week. Okay, sorry to keep you waiting. Jeez, tough crowd. All right. All right. I just read Justin Gerder's comment about Uranus in Rumble. Thank you for that chuckle. I appreciate it. However, to try to regain control of the show, I'm gonna avoid the gutter just yet. Here we go with the question of the week, folks. This is our opportunity to ask our Discord community and just some question about the paranormal, and it might be something to do with UFOs, might be something to do with cryptids, cryptozoology, Bigfoot, Dogman, etc. Might be something about ghosts, spirits, or it could be strange phenomena, or any of the above. And our wonderful friend, Mr. Chucky Danger, who is an admin and mod, and he's a podcaster himself, is been championing this for the show for a while now and doing a hell of a job. So please make sure to thank Chucky. He is the reason this continues, honestly. He's done a much better job at it than I ever did when I started it. So thank you, Chucky, for all your work. And God, Eric, I can't read that stuff and do my job here. So you're gonna have to just whisper that quietly. All right, here we go. So this is the question of the week. And ladies and gentlemen, we do have a Discord server, and you are welcome to join it. If you look into the description below, you'll see a link, and everybody and anybody's welcome. Just be on your best behavior, please. We don't want a bunch of idiots with, middle school humor and tantrums involved, because our admins over on Discord will make sure that you don't get to stick around. But if you're a decent person and just want to take part in a really cool community, come on over. Join us. We've got several hundred now, or a couple hundred plus people. I don't even know how many people are in Discord right now. Right now there's 25 active on, but according to this, there's 290 that are not online currently, but they're joined on our Discord, and you can be a part of that number. If you like our chat community, which, as you can see, these are amazing people. They got great discussions, great senses of humor, wonderful people. Then join the Discord, because they're continuing a lot of conversations throughout the entire week, even when I'm not live. So we got the greatest community ever, and the greatest admins, mods, everything. So please join up, and you too can answer the Discord question of the week. But this is the Discord question of the week. You'll see there it says question of the week. You click on that. Use your mouse wheel to make sure you're on the current question before you answer, because when you first join this, it'll bring you all the way up to the top because you haven't seen any of it. So you're going to have to scroll all the way to the bottom, find the most recent post by Chucky, and it starts with that everyone. That means that everyone in our Discord community will see this question. And today's question of the week for this week is: the fairy or fair folk are said to be people of the other world. In Ireland, they have portals to the other land called... Wait, didn't we do this one? Is this the newest one? No, it's not. No, it's not. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Here we go. I was like, wait, I remember reading that one already. This is the one that we're doing now, I think. Yes, this is the one we're doing now. Question of the week. Recently, teenage pilot Ethan Guo, I think Guo, I don't know how to pronounce that for sure, was arrested for changing his flight path and flying over Antarctica. And his goal was to fly all 7 continents solo. Well, after hitting a patch of rough air, and he flew over Antarctica, where he was radioed and detained by Chilean authorities. This event seems to have reignited the conversation about Antarctica. Rumors of ice-free zones that are now turning green, or even the rumors about more unexplored continents beyond Antarctica. Why do you think that authorities from around the world are keeping information about Antarctica so secretive? Why are there only certain places that civilians are allowed to see while the rest stays hidden from us? Could our planet be much bigger than we are led to believe? And Antarctica is part of the fabled ice wall that separates us from the rest of our planet. So we're kind of diving into a little bit of flat Earth here with this Antarctica discussion, but fair question, because I know there's a lot of flat Earth believers in the community, so that's fine. So we're going to start out with Eric, the Wandering Purple Hobbit. And again, if you believe in flat Earth, it's fine. I personally don't, but you're welcome to believe whatever you want, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. And if you believe there's an ice wall and a whole bunch of other continents out there, it doesn't hurt me at all. And it's not hurting my feelings either. So let's check out the answers. Eric, the Wandering Purple Hobbit, comes in at first. All these questions are intriguing, as well as hollow earth theories. Books like Journey to the Center of the Earth and movies spark real questions, like, is this where all cryptids originated? Is this the Garden of Eden? Is this where dragons and giants have hidden away with so many others? Can you get a good cup of garlic there? I don't know. Along with so many others, can you get a good cup of garlic there? Sorry, I read that twice. Maybe all the socks that go missing. Yes, this is a new running gag with me, and you all know. As I say, there's just so much we don't know about so much. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I kind of like the hollow earth. I don't know if it's hollow or if it's just really cavernous, and there could be complete biomes that are under the surface of our crust. Maybe not in the center of the planet so much, but maybe there is. Years ago, I interviewed a gentleman by the name of Brooks Agnew, and it's part of my podcast catalog. But I think I called it The Science of the Paranormal, and it was from the very first season of podcast episodes. But he was very involved with scientific communities as a very high-level engineer and entrepreneur in his own right, but he did talk about there being subterranean oceans that have been recorded because seismographs on the floor of the ocean, in some of the deepest parts of the ocean, were catching the vibration of crashing waves on the shore somewhere underneath them. And that seems to suggest that there is oceans underneath our feet as well as along the crust. So it's an interesting theory, interesting ideas. And I like that idea personally, that there's more going on under our feet than we think, including perhaps where some of this weirdness comes from, some of these weird creatures that pop up and then disappear, and who knows what they're capable of. But interesting thoughts. Yeah, very cool. Michelle Wolfong just says yes. That's it. One word. And sure enough, fair enough. You don't have to give a paragraph or anything. Just whatever you think. What in the hell is that? I hate that. Oh, there we go. Hallelujah Goat says, I bet it's just a big command center keeping the rest of us under, or rather above, their thumb. Yeah, maybe. Could be all kinds of overlords just sitting back down in there in a big palace behind the ice walls. I don't know. Who knows? ZX81V2 says, why did one of the last popes went to Antarctica? What religious connection would make him go and freeze his crooks off? I don't know. I didn't know one of the last popes went to Antarctica, but I guess maybe it made sense to them at the time. I don't know. I think just because you become pope doesn't mean you lose all curiosity and all interest in everything else. I just think it'd be cool to see it, to say you've been there. All right, 3M Farm comes in and says, I think it's the entrance to the inner earth. Could be. There's certainly been a lot of scuttlebutt about that, about there being a great big hole. Sorry. Sometimes my Discord does this and I got to do that. There we go. Could be a great big hole up there, either on the North or South Pole or both, that lead into an interior of the earth. I kind of like that idea, honestly. I don't know if it means much or not, but it certainly might explain some of the weirdness that we experience up here. All right, Last Light comes in and says, I think it's just too damn cold. Nobody in their right mind wants to go there. I do applaud the kid for making the stop, though. Wish he would have shared some aerial footage or something, maybe next time. Yeah, I don't know. It is funny that they would go so far as to not only ground him, but to detain him. Because isn't it like an international zone? Isn't it kind of an international zone? And so, like, does the Chilean authorities have the standing to detain someone because they were accidentally, I mean, obviously the guy wanted to fly over Antarctica. That's how he ended up there. But he's feigning mechanical issues, and fair enough. He may have actually had them. Is that enough to detain somebody, though? I don't know. It's very, very unusual that it's such a strong reaction to that. Comet Man says, I heard rumors from Flat Earth movement that those continents beyond Antarctica are those in the ethereal. Your frequency and vibration must be high enough before you can gain access. Also, the Nazis had a base there, so the United States government wants to eradicate them and the little green men that live underground. I don't know what to say about any of that. Certainly I've heard the rumors that perhaps the fleeing Nazis did have a base down there. I don't know. I've heard South America. I've heard Central America. I don't know where they went. I guess they went anywhere they could, probably. All right, coming up next is Rachel 101. It's a curious question. I think it has to do with keeping the Antarctic pristine. There may be studies going on that the civilians of the world don't know about, but we do know what happens when people come to remote areas as tourists. Look at the bodies and massive amounts of trash, human waste left on Mount Everest. I think it's to keep the final frontier safe from humans. Maybe. Hi, Maggie. Good to see you. Thank you. All right, and then we got Barbara Mora closing it up tonight on the last response. World governments know there will be no oversight to the experiments, research, or collaboration with aliens or inner earthlings. Yeah, I mean, there is that. Maybe it's maybe international treaty doesn't apply on unclaimed land. I don't know. That's a great question. Could there be some really nefarious testing going on there? I mean, if it was like if they were testing with pathogens or something like that, well, just what's it going to go? Go out and hide in a snowbank? No, it'd just probably die or go extraordinarily dormant because it's so freaking cold. Hope not, though. I don't know. The whole studying bacteria and viruses to me is a scary, scary proposition because there's not a lot of plus side to it, but a hell of a lot of downside. I don't know, just creepy stuff. But there you have it. Those are the questions of the week, and this is why I love this segment. You guys haven't touched on Mel's Hole since Art Bell days. Yeah, I've heard of Mel's Hole a bunch, Linda, but I don't know much about it. Happy Dog Lady, excellent question. Flat Earther here, but not really the place to get into the topic. Fair enough. I mean, I'm not a flat earther, but I don't begrudge people that they have to think of this as a globe or a plate. I don't care. Just be a good person. I'm more concerned about the type of people that we are rather than that everybody has the same monoculture of thought. It's like, I don't care. If you want it to be a plate, it can be a plate. It looks flat when you're standing on it. It looks flat for even when you're up in an airplane. It looks like a big plate, but I can't get high enough to look at it and say, it's definitely a globe, but it's just whatever you believe, as long as you're a good person. That's what I think is most important. I got to believe the Mel's Hole story. I live close by it, UFO hot zone here. Well, maybe that's what Mel's Hole was all about. Maybe it's an access to the inner earth where the UFOs come and go. Could be just like one big barrel to their big their big Mel's Hole gun. And when it does finally go off, there'll be like old toilets and bed springs coming up from people dumping crap down there for decades. It's like, well, yeah, the toilet's not working anymore. Let's get rid of it. Bring it over to Mel's Hole. There'll be toilets in orbit when they finally detonate Mel's hole. Like, what if it was just a barrel of one big gun? That's what Mel's hole is, and it comes from somewhere underground where there's a bunch of radical gnomes plotting their revenge. I don't know. Just saying. Just saying. Captain Kirk said it's round. Well, I personally think it is too. But Mel's hole, yeah, that was a great storyline. I don't know why it just kind of fell off the earth. Maybe I should dig into that and see what we can find out about Mel's hole. It can't be too far from where I am right now, up in the north of Idaho. I think it was over in Washington State. But I don't know if it's something you can even get to and just go look and go, yeah, there's Mel's hole. That's a big ass hole. I don't know. It's not like I'm going to be casting a sensor down with miles of wire just to see. Mel's hole is fascinating. Yeah, it is. It is. Maybe there's an outhouse on top of it now. Well, that'd be one hole. You'd never have to move that outhouse ever. It might actually just like have a downdraft and you just got to sit down and it'll vacate your bowels involuntarily. Great place to go for constipation. I'm just saying. I learned about it here, Brent. You did something about it once. Yeah, a long, long time ago. I have touched on it. It's just I've never dug into it really, really deeply. But, you know, we covered a lot of stuff through the years. God, crazy amounts of stuff. But this is the question of the week. Just don't drop your phone or keys. Yeah, that's... Wait, I got to find my phone on. See where it is. It's in China. Your phone tells you it's in China. No, that's really deep hole. All right, I'm just saying, might have come from China, but I don't think it returns there through Mel's hole. Probably not. All right, that's the question of the week. Do you guys see the attraction to this? It's great to hear what you guys have to say. It's great to have fun with the ideas, and there isn't any wrong answers. Nobody knows any of this stuff, so every idea is just as valid as any other one. So please come join the Discord, join the question of the week, answer what you think, and right, wrong, or otherwise, who cares? Put your ideas out there. I can't tell you how many times I've learned to look at problems completely different because of you guys, because of the things you've put in this segment. You guys have thought of things that I just would never have come to on my own. So for that, I'm eternally grateful. And I love the way you guys think. So this is the Discord question of the week, folks. Let's get back to the rest of the show. All right, that was the Discord question of the week. And I hope you found some value, some merit in that, some joy, some laughter, and just a huge sense of curiosity. Hi, Dog Digger. See, you came in over on the Rumble for a while ago. Sorry I didn't say hello until now. And Big D's over there. Great to have you guys here. Thank you so much. I love the Hollow Earth theory too, actually, Barbara. I think it's very fascinating. Of course, there's extinct lava tubes all over the crust of the earth, and so there could just be a natural superhighway all over the place, and maybe some of these things that live under the earth can just navigate those like we use maps and roads. Maybe they just got this stuff all sorted out. I don't know. Fantastic show tonight. Thank you, Jason Finch. It got a little better with every one of you guys being here, so thank you for that. Cryptical Crossroads, rather. I think I missed this week. It's okay. If you missed, that's okay. There's no demerits or points lost by not taking part. It's just there if you want to take part. I think it's fun to read your guys' thoughts. We were chased through Mel's Hole Canyon for miles and miles. Lays and Blaze. Wow. What were you chased by? What chased you? I'm curious to see what you got to say. It was Mel's Hole. Art Bell spoke to a man who knew about it years ago. Admiral Byrd spoke about the entrance to Hollow Earth. Yes, he did, Judd. Yep. Yeah, I think it's fascinating. Mel Waters. Oh, Mel actually chased you? Get away from you. That's my hole. I know he did say that people were dumping stuff down there forever. It's like, I can imagine if somebody did go down there, it's like, oh God. There'd be like dead pets and animals, probably cows were dragged over there. Just get rid of them. Hi, Tina Callenbeck. Is there any information on ghost or something that seems to be attached to a family? Yeah, there's spiritual attachments are real common, and I don't know necessarily why they happen. I think it's pretty individual based on whatever spirit happens to be attached. It might attach itself to a family, or a person is more likely than a family. But it might attach itself to a family because of maybe it's a familiarity. You know, you ever meet someone, you're like, oh, this person really reminds me of my Aunt Becky or my cousin Fred or whatever. Like, you meet people and you like them because they without really even knowing them, because they remind you of somebody. And I think a lot of times attachments are very much like that. Like, spirits find a familiarity in a person or an interest or an intrigue, and so they kind of cling on. They kind of attach and just follow, and not always bad, maybe not even most of the time bad. It's just attachments are for any number of reasons. You could look like a former relative, grandmother, grandfather, uncle, aunt, mom, dad, brother, sister, a younger brother, sister. It's just, I think that oftentimes they attach because there's some familiarity, and that's the attraction. And so they for whatever reason, for whatever their condition is, we can only speculate, but I think a lot of times spirits are in a state of confusion, or I don't know, maybe not confusion is the right word, but they're in a state of longing. They want those connections they used to have. And so they encounter some of us, and they might go, well, I like this person. I like their energy. I like something about them. I'm just going to hang out with them now. I'm just going to kick back and watch. And even though they probably can't interact with us directly, they just find comfort in being around something familiar. It might be your home. It might be something you have that reminds them of their life, or something special from their own experience. So I think attachments, there's no one answer fits all, but it's any number of variables, and it's all speculation. Nobody's going to be able to tell you for sure, but those are my takes on it. That oftentimes they just find something attractive, and I don't mean inappropriately. I just think something they like, and so they want to connect with that again, and so they follow. They connect themselves to your life. Now, if it becomes a problem, the best way to deal with an attachment is just say, hey, I know you're here. I don't appreciate it. You don't have my permission. You need to go. You're not allowed to be here. And just make very definitive statements like that. I don't think they oftentimes want to cause problems. And that may shock them into going back to wherever they were from. But I don't know. It's up to the individual. But attachments there's any number of reasons that attachments can develop, and there's both good, bad, and otherwise. Some of them are more neutral, just like, oh, I like the way that guy talks. It makes me feel comfortable. I'm going to stick around that person. Or it makes me smile. I feel joyous. Or it sounds familiar, or any number of reasons. So that's my take on it. It's a really incredibly broad and comprehensive idea of why do attachments happen. And there's no one answer. There's any number of answers. But if it's uncomfortable, if you noticed that you have an attachment and you don't like it, make sure to be very clear about how that's not okay with you. Because I really think that we have the control if we claim it. But if we don't, then, and it is something dark, it'll take control for you. So just be careful. I don't know. Just in a bit of a off the cuff answer, but I hope that helps. We went live talking about my new channel account. Well, I guess we're gonna just cryptical crossroads. Who is that? Is that Casto? Josh? Is that you? Oh, that's right. That's right. I think that is. We do have authority, D Ocean says. Yeah, I think so too. So assert your will is my point when dealing with attachments. If it's not comfortable to you, assert your will. It's not okay. You need to go. You're not welcome here. This is not your home. This is my home. And just be clear. I see spirits too. Got a twin sis. I don't have twin sister. I have no sisters actually. Got a few brothers. Had a sister that was born long before me, but she only lived 2 days. So, Cryptical Crossroads. That is Josh Casto, our good friend, Mr. Josh Casto's new channel. God, I'm sorry, I was rude. Just snuck out. I usually don't do that live on the air. So definitely support Mr. Josh Casto and his endeavor, starting his own channel. So everybody head over and give him a subscription. He's been an incredible asset and friend to this channel and these shows. He's been on my podcast and just a wonderful guy. So definitely happy to help support you, brother. All right. I have a twisted sister, Mango says. That brings back some memories. Just seeing the name Twisted Sister. D. Snyder and Du Bois. All right. Okay, so let's see how we're doing for time here. We're at just after 8. Man, we've been cruising through the nights. I don't know if I have a lot for the Cryptid Corner tonight, but we're going to get to that eventually. Or no, we're going to get to that now, as a matter of fact. But I don't have a lot for, the Cryptid Corner I don't have a lot for tonight. I just got a couple more from Sasquatch Chronicles to go through, and then so I'm going to spend some time with you on the What the Hell Is That segment. That's going to be the focus. And then after that, I'm not sure what we're going to do with the rest of the time that we have, but we'll see. I'm sure we can fill it up with something. And again, any questions like that attachment question just kind of came through, feel free to ask them. I don't mind taking sidebars and talking about things that come up for you guys or things that you want some advice on. I would just encourage you always be careful. There's no experts out there. There's plenty of people that'll tell you that they're experts and they'll tell you they can solve your problems for you. But honestly, I really encourage everybody to try to solve the problems themselves if you can. If you can't, get the help. Find people that can, but don't trust everybody's advice, because I think there's decent advice in all of this, and there's maybe not as decent advice. And I'm not trying to put anybody down. I think everybody means well and is trying to help, but there's just quite a few charlatans out there. I'll just say that. All right, so let's get to the next part. BLB, so much Jake. Blue Line Bigfoot. Good to see you, Jake. Glad to have you here, buddy. How you doing? I haven't heard from you guys for a while, so it's good to see you showing up. I see you leave comments every once in a while, though, Jake. Thank you for that, brother. Wise advice, Brent. Thank you, Hoop Oracle. I appreciate it. I don't know if it's wise. It's just, I just want to be useful. I hope I can help. That's the only thing. I just hope I can help. Let's get to the next one. Trent Brombus? What? Trent Bromus. Bromus. I see what you did there. But it's not Traumas. It's Trent Bomus. It would have to be Bomus. Or Thrent Bomus. See how much time you're wasting, Jake, now? Come on. Here we go. Chucky had a police record for mooning. I could have gone the rest of my life without knowing that, Chucky, but thank you. Yeah, it'd be like Bromus. That almost sounds like a religion. Like Brahma. There we go. All right, so let's get to the next part of the show, because it's time for that. What the hell is that? Well, you came to the right place. We're going to find out right now. What the hell is that? And I got some videos pulled up for you guys. I think these are pretty decent. The first one is a ghost photograph. And this one's kind of famous. It's been around for a long time. It's posted by The Other Side 2.0 on Facebook. The Other Side 2.0. And the thing is it's a series of pictures that were allegedly taken at the site of a automobile fatality back, I think, in the 80s, but it might have been more in the 90s. I'm not sure. Unfortunately, a young man did lose his life, and it appears that they might have caught apparitions of that young man. I don't know. I know that this kind of stuff is really ambiguous and it's hard to substantiate. But on the other hand, it's also hard to ignore that the images they did capture look very similar to the young man that lost his life. So again, this comes from The Other Side 2.0 on Facebook. So definitely check them out. I know they've posted a ton of these kind of things. Great stuff, great information. Not that you should believe all of it, but I think it's great to check it out and even consider the possibilities. This may or may not be. And I'm not suggesting this for sure is, although I can't figure out where that anomaly would have come from. Like a lot of times in photography, when you see these weird orbs and glowing stuff, you look for light sources, reflections that may have picked up and are being lensed or projected into a different part of the frame just from the shape of the lens, the curving of the lens. So it might be in one case, there was this apparently giant eyes were glowing in the darkness, and it was a trail cam picture. But I was like, wow, that really looks like it might be something. And it was Kerry Arnold that pointed it out to me. He's like, look, it lines up. Those eyes line up exactly with the taillights that are reflecting from that trail cam. And I was like, sure enough, it was a lensing effect. So the light was coming down from the tail lights, hitting the lens, and the curvature of the lens was reprojecting it higher up on the sensor and looking like there were these giant eyes looking out of the forest. But they were an exact match. So you got to take into account those considerations when you're looking at alleged photographic proof, because there's a lot of false positives. And there's a lot of things with the mechanics and the sensors on cameras and phones, etc., that can be misinterpreted as paranormal, supernatural, other kind of activity. But here's the image. You be the judge again from The Other Side 2.0. What do you think? Here's the image. This is the wreckage. And it's not terribly thrown up or whatever, or torn up. But I think the guy was ejected from the car. And this is the apparition here. And it looks like a face in anguish, like somebody just screaming, like, no. Now, interestingly, there's more pictures in this series. There's a close-up of what is believed to be the face. I mean, it looks like an ear, like a hairline, like an eye, scrunched eye, what would be a nose, and then what looks like a mouth going, So, I mean, it's heartbreaking to think that if this just happened, this is apparently the photographer that took pictures of the wreckage for the files. And if that's the case, if they managed to capture the guy. Now, here is what the guy looked like. And you can see there's similarities there with the hair, with the ear, with, and even the nose being a little misshapen like that. It looks like he took a good shot to the nose at some point, or at least had a real wide bridge on his nose. I mean, is that possibly a capture of the same person? And it's a little bit of a shudder, it makes you shudder a little bit because, as a young man lost his life, and you'd hate to think that this is the state that he's in while he's coming to terms with this horrible change in his life experience or circumstances. But there you have it. What do you guys think? Is that potentially a spirit captured on photo just following a fatal wreck? Yeah, it does look like it, doesn't it, D? I agree. So, I don't know. And I honestly think it's pretty compelling. To me personally, I don't have anything to say to be like, well, no, it's not because of this, or this. Again, there's a lot I don't know. I can't, look into this with any depth, but we just look at stuff on this segment. First blush, what do you see? do we look the same as our soul, or do you think we change, Brent? I think that we look how we believe we are. Like, I think we probably, at least initially after passing on, I'm sure we maintain this as our identity. This is my identity. This is what my identity looks like. So I think it has to do with our psychology. This is what I look like because this is what I saw. And so after we pass, I think that that's what we hang on to. This was my identity, and it's a visual identity, so to speak. So yes, I do. I don't think that that's probably truly what we look like. We probably look like balls of energy, but we've just come to equate ourself with a visual representation. So the representation would be intact for anybody that's trying to appear or even inadvertently appearing. And if it's somebody just right after an accident, sure, they're going to be totally wrapped into their identity, physical identity, because up until very recently, they were a physical entity. So I don't know, just some thoughts. I think so. I think that, for certainly when I've experienced what I think are very, very sincere meetings with deceased loved ones, but in the dream state. And with my grandmother, initially when she appeared before me, she looked exactly like the old woman that I knew and loved. But as she sat in front of me, she changed. And I'd never seen younger pictures of her ever. My family's never been a big photo family. Like, there wasn't pictures all over our houses and stuff. So I'd only known my grandma as this, gray-haired old lady. But as she sat in front of me, her hair suddenly changed and became less white and became dark and long and beautiful. And her face, the wrinkles disappeared and her cheeks tightened up and she became this beautiful woman. And I was like, wow. And she said to me, she just said, I wanted you to know, and you can let everyone know that I'm fine. Everything is wonderful. And then she said, you can tell your Uncle Jim, but he won't believe you anyway. Which is funny because my Uncle Jim was very much a skeptic. But as was my grandma. Now, I'd never seen younger pictures of her ever. And it wasn't until we were cleaning out her house after she passed, after this dream had happened, that I started to see old pictures from the bottom of drawers. And I was like, that's who was in my dream. That was her. So it was an accurate representation. So that was my experience. Brent, all the dead family members I have seen when they came to me, they looked like themselves, but appeared much younger and looking very healthy. Yeah. Like I said, my grandmother looked old at first, and then she transformed right in front of my eyes until she became this young, vibrant, beautiful young lady. It was really striking. I was like, whoa. So I don't know. I guess we probably have for us, we probably have a lifetime of identity. But when she first appeared to me, I'm sure she appeared in a way that I would understand instantly. But then she changed to how she felt. I don't know about you guys, but I notice I get new wrinkles and changes all the time. It's like, God, where did all that come from? I still expect when I look in the mirror to see the 25-year-old me, but that's not
hard.
That is hard. You're right. It's hard to look in the mirror and not see that young guy. You're right. Good point, Ghost Radar. So, yeah, crazy. But we change. But I think the younger us is really a probably more accurate identity of what we think we look like. But again, I think it's for familiarity. There you go. That was the first one. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We've got more. Let me make sure I don't have it on. Okay. Let's go to the next one from What the Hell Is That? I got more. This is it. This one's kind of a cool one, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't know if this is, if it's divine providence or divine intervention or what. I'm not even sure if it's legitimately a real event that happened. It could be an AI. But I've seen it on a couple sources online now. And it's coming from, this one is coming from Nerve Farm. And I don't know that it's legitimately a real capture or not. There's plenty of people that are claiming this is AI, and it very well may be. But it is possible it's real too. This is the blurry point with AI, where it's getting to be harder and harder to tell what's not AI, what is AI. And of course, for the skeptics, everything they don't like is going to be AI now. That's the other side of it. And I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you. But I did see this on a couple of sources now pop up on different platforms. It may be real. I don't know. But it may not be. So I'm not warranting this as a factual event. But it's kind of interesting. If it is real, it's pretty profound because you're going to see something demonstrated that clearly looks like divine intervention, but it was intervention of some little furry mammal that potentially saved a guy from a really deadly situation. So here's the video I'm talking about. Here it is. There must be reason why animals block the road. Safe travel. Thank you, great God. Protecting animals is everyone's responsibility. And here's the quote. Somebody commented, it's scary how the majority of people don't see that it's AI. And it could be. But this was posted by Nerve Farm on YouTube. So have a look and see what's going on here. Look at that. Honestly, it could be AI, but if it's real, it's pretty fascinating. It could be AI. The reason that I'm thinking it could be, watch how high his legs are. His knees bend, and when he's kneeling, his knees are still visible, which wouldn't be the case for a dash cam looking down on the road. So it's also interesting how he turns and bows and like it goes into a prayer mode in front of the car rather to the animal. Like, oh, thank you, animal. You just saved me. I don't know. It's fascinating. Is it real? Is it not? I would love your guys' take on this. Give me a 1 in the chat if you think it could be real. Give me a 0 if you think it's AI. 1 in chat, it's real. 0 in chat, it's an AI. Let me know. He's almost kneeling on the hood. Yeah, that is a real weird. I wouldn't expect that if you were actually kneeling in front of a car. Okay, 0, 0, 0. Yeah, all right. Chucky, there's a fat out night vision videos where they all look the same color. Yeah. Lots of zeros. Okay, 0. I don't know, Brent. Yeah, I mean, I'd love for it to be real. I really would, because it would be like, wow, did something compel this animal to stop this person? Did the animal realize there was a person in trouble, and it's showing some kind of enlightened state of, oh, I got to stop them. I'm going to run out on the road. But unfortunately, there is some real red flags in this. Like, why would he kneel towards the car and bow and pray like, oh, thank you, car, for stopping in time? When it was the little fluffy thing, the little fisher or whatever that is, that came out and stopped him from going into that hole. I mean, it's pretty well done. It's getting harder and harder to tell, but it may have happened to somebody sometime. Yeah, there's certainly those claims that people have made that animals have appeared and stopped them from going into horribly dangerous situations without knowing. And so it's not without merit that this event has happened, or events like it. Is this a representation of it? I honestly, in reviewing it, I looked at it online. I was like, oh, we can talk about that on the show. And now as I'm watching it again, I'm like, why is his knees so visible? If he's kneeling in front of the car, unless he was out about, 20 feet, I guess maybe, but still, why bow and pray to the car? So I don't know. Again, I think it's probably an AI too. I'm with you guys, but I love the idea that those kind of things can happen and do happen, I'm sure. We've covered some through the years, but I can't think of a specific example right now as I'm racking my brain, but there you go. The proliferation of AI is making the water so much more muddy. And I don't like that. I don't like that that's the case. I would love that there would be an automatic watermark that would appear. I would think you should probably have to click on it or something, because, not everything has to have a watermark visible, but it should be readily, or a flag on YouTube that picks up a pixel that's programmed into every AI video. Oh, this is AI, just as a disclaimer on the bottom. Kind of like those fact check things that pop up all over the place, especially during COVID and stuff. It's like, oh my God. I mean, they came up all the time. So if they can make a scan that would detect and flag these things off screen, that this is an AI video, this is an AI generated video, that would be really cool. And I think that's got to happen, because unfortunately there's too many charlatans and people trying to express their own fiction and muddy the waters for the truth that might be out there. So that's my take on it. Death of what exactly? You're awful talkative tonight. What is going on? I don't know. It would have been death if he didn't stop going into that hole. That's true. But I don't think that's a real video, Ghostbox, just so you know. Very cool, though. There you have it. It's a death. It's like, okay, let's have a little happiness here. Jesus. All right, let's go to the next one. I've got more. Thanks for taking part in that little survey. I am always curious what you guys think. Here's, this is coming from Boise Bigfoot. Obviously, this isn't their file. I interviewed Ron Moorhead on my podcast, and he sent me the Samurai Chatter files and stuff. I think this is just that, but this is posted by Boise Bigfoot on Facebook, it looks like. Yeah, it's on the Reels. Facebook Reels. Boise Bigfoot's a cool group because they're always posting Bigfoot-related stuff, and gotta love that. I gotta stop this video from playing because that's another one that's gonna come up next. Actually, I have to stop it first. There we go. So this is from Boise Bigfoot. It is the Samurai Chatter, the Sierra Sounds that are always, those of you guys that are maybe not well versed in the Bigfoot stuff, you'll hear things like Samurai Chatter and the Sierra Sounds. Those are two phrases that come up all the time when people talk about the vocalizations, the apparently potential language of the Bigfoot Sasquatch. And it does, the reason they call it the Samurai Chatter is if you watch old kung fu movies or samurai movies and stuff, and they're not dubbed, it sounds very much similar with the hard stops and the vocalized hard stops and stuff to like Japanese or Chinese, like the oi dai jikidokamba, and I'm not speaking oi saigo-san, whatever, doi tashimaste. It's very, very hard stop and very quick. The language is very quick. So I think this is a recording of that, and I'm going to play it, and it'll probably be something like the Smurfs theme song or something stupid like that. But this is posted by Boise Bigfoot, and it says it's the Samurai Chatter Sierra Sounds recorded by Ron Moorhead and Al Berry. And again, I had Ron Moorhead on the show. He sent me these files, but it's easier to play their video than me for loading up all those files. So here we go. Whoops.
Hit the big rocks. It's a hard act to follow.
It sounds like he talks to us and they talk to each other.
Yeah.
That's where they think it's a language, like a very comprehensive language with different phonemes and language building blocks of a vocabulary. So I do need to tell you that some of what you're hearing are them mimicking back, trying to mimic these sounds that they're hearing. So when it's really close and loud, that is not the Bigfoot. That is them mimicking, either Ron himself or Al Berry, mimicking back. But let's play it. Continue.
Bonsoir! Right there, I just seen movement right through there.
You wanted to know what they sound like. Well,
There you go. That's what they allegedly sound like. So when you hear things like samurai chatter and the Sierra sounds, that's the sound files that you just listened to. Those are, I mean, they should be maybe played not quite so loud, but yeah, it's the more distant voices. That's the samurai chatter, and it's basically like, it sounds like a hard Japanese type of language model. So that's why they call it that. Yeah, the faces are just AI renderings of, I think those AI renders come from people's accounts as they're trying to relate what they saw when they saw Bigfoot. So these are, I mean, they've been around for quite a while, these faces that you're absolutely seeing. They're not related. The one file to the next is not related. This is a rendering series that several people did to take witness descriptions of what they saw and try to create realistic renderings of that. And that's what you're seeing on the screen as these sounds are happening. And I don't know about you, but imagine looking out your window as you're sitting there watching TV and seeing that looking in. And it's about this big. You know, it's like 2.5 times your skull, and it's looking in your window. I'm here to tell you, no, that would be uncomfortable. Or you're in the bathroom just taking care of business, and you look up, and looking over the blinds through the window at you is that face. That face. That's creepy. No offense to the Bigfoots, forest people, Sabe, Sasquatch, whatever. You know, I just have to tell you, we're not used to seeing that. We're not used to seeing that face. So, a handsome gent now that I've looked at it, but initially it was a little unnerving. So, there you go. Now you've heard the samurai chatter. Now you'll know what that reference is all about. If you weren't already familiar with it, that's why I wanted to cover that. I would run for my pew-pew if I saw that in the window. Yeah, I don't know. You know, could you imagine whatever is out there? I mean, if that face, this face, is attached to something that's like 9 feet tall. Now imagine looking at from your floor to your ceiling. Most houses, floor to ceiling is 8 feet tall. My floor to ceiling in this house, it's an old house, are 9 feet tall. And I'm thinking if that was filled up by something huge, gargantuan, and had that face, I'd be like, whoa. I mean, it would literally be like I couldn't breathe. I would just feel like I was gonna like stroke out, like, and that's it. That's so big and it's so powerful. And then you think, oh, okay, well, I have a pew-pew. It's like, what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't do anything except make this pissed? And what's going to happen then? Like, if it's pissed, like it knows you're trying to take it out. And now you've got 9 feet, maybe 1,200 pounds of pissed muscle that wants to just smash you into pudding. So even though, I mean, I understand there's plenty of people that have had encounters and they had guns, and then either they completely forgot they had a gun or they knew they had a gun and went, my gun's not big enough. My gun's not big enough to deal with this. Whatever, this is way too big for my gun. And I can't blame them, because if you don't do this in one shot, you're probably not going to get a second one. So, crazy experiences. So, I just try to put that into perspective, like 8 or 9 feet, that face, and it's not happy to see you. Generally speaking, they're not real happy to see us when they're that close and personal. Even if they're looking in your windows, I think it's a curiosity thing, but it's still like, like maybe a rite of passage, maybe it's counting coup kind of thing, but either way, that's a big big storm from hell if it goes wrong. But anyway, it is what it is. All right, we're going to close this part off with one more segment on the What the Hell Is That? This is, again, a post from Bigfoot Crossroads. And this is from the BBC archive. The John Schumann shares his roadside Bigfoot sighting in California. I don't think I shared this one before. I know we've done another one Matt posted about BBC archive, but I don't think that was California. It might be a rerun. I'm sorry if I've already played this one. I didn't think that I had, but maybe I have. Yeah, I don't have another one, so we're going to watch this one, I think, for the first time, but maybe it'll be a rerun. If it is, it's still a good one. So I thought it was a brand new one. That's why I pulled it up, but now I'm thinking about it. Did we play this one already? Maybe. But BBC, I think, is British Broadcasting. They have an archive, apparently. Or it could be is BBC up in Canada. I think Canada's CBC, right? So I think this is British Broadcasting Archive. John Schumann shares his roadside Bigfoot sighting in California. This was posted by Bigfoot Crossroads, Mr. Matt Knapp. Check it out. All right, let me do this. It's all framed up good. Turn on the sound, and away we go.
As Lonnie and us was approaching this curve in my Volkswagen sedan, Lonnie was sitting in the seat behind me when he tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "Look at there." And I looked over here in this ditch line quickly. We wasn't doing probably about 35 miles an hour, and we seen what we thought was a bear. Upon raising up and the Volkswagen setting low like it was, and being on the lookout for any cattle or what on the road, we seen quickly what looked like a bear. But just as we was right dead on it, out of the corner of my low windshield, the thing raised up and looked right directly at us. We have since found that through many years this seems to be a crossing for this being, whatever it is, here in this area at certain times of the year.
Not to spoil this beautiful day or anything, huh? Come on.
As Lonnie and us was approaching this curve in my Volkswagen sedan, Lonnie...
There it is. That's pretty crazy. I don't know. I don't know what you think of that. That's a very old sighting. Obviously, I don't know when that comes from, when John Schumann's sighting was. But he's a road construction engineer out of California, and he saw that. I don't know what his outdoors experience is, but I think... I don't think it takes a biologist to see the difference between a bear and a Bigfoot. I think that, when they're huddled down close to the ground, sure, it could be interchangeable. But when it lifts up and raises up like that, I think it becomes pretty clear you're not looking at a bear. So that's the John Schumann experience out of California. And it looks like it's got to be the 70s when this was recorded. I don't think that was much earlier or much later than the 70s with that grainy video. You can see he's actually dragging a long cord. This is a cord on the ground, and he drags it across when he runs across. So they didn't have like wireless mics and stuff like that. If you were going to talk, you had a microphone and a cord. So he dragged it all along with him for that moment. Good thing no cars came and ran over that cord, but yeah. Cool experience. I gotta say that I'm not real familiar with it. Other than this clip, I have not heard of this one before. But I was thinking of doing a research project for the show. And it's something I gotta really kind of go through, because I want to make it... A lot of people are starting to use AI to debunk Bigfoot. And I'm speaking, of course, specifically of an instance where Russ Accord of Expedition Bigfoot, a wonderful, wonderful guy, and he's very, very very sincere and down to earth. Russ is a great guy. He's he's on Expedition Bigfoot, but I think he's one of those guys that is probably one of the most down-to-earth people you're ever going to want to meet. And I've had the pleasure of getting to know him over several years at several conferences and stuff. And he did a clip, and I mentioned this last night, I think, that he was going to be appearing with Dr. Maria Mayer, on a podcast, something like Crypto Geeks or something, and they were going to use AI to debunk the Patterson-Gimlin film, which is, why people feel the need to still try to attack that, I don't understand. But at any rate, Russ was going to appear on there, and he was very clear. It's like, well, I don't know what kind of bunk they're going to show me, but I've known Bob for years, and there's no question this is something Russ is very much behind, the Patterson-Gimlin film, and I am too. I've had the chance to talk to Bob. I've seen the film long before I ever saw Bob or knew Bob or anything like that. Again, special thanks to Wes for making that happen. But it was very clear to me that the video I was seeing was very much a terrestrial creature that was unique in its own right. It wasn't a person. I knew that from the first moment I saw it. It was like, wow, I'd never seen something move like that. I'd never, I mean, I always believed these things were out there, but I'd never questioned the authenticity of that video even once, because what I was looking at was not just a person in a suit. It was something that was stressed, and it was moving rapidly, not quickly, but rapidly walking off the scene just to create distance. I didn't ever get the feeling that this was just somebody in a suit being clever. So I don't know. And I'm not sure what AI could show that hundreds of researchers and both enthusiasts and debunkers couldn't have shown anyway. It's not like AI is going to be able to peel back the video layers to find Bob Hieronymus underneath, which is one of the big claims. AI can't do that. It's not possible. But there's been plenty of studies to show that, look, the way that Patty walks in that film is not duplicatable by a human being, because the body mechanics are so unique and they're so fluid. So anyway, Russell's going to do that. But I was thinking, you know what, rather than using AI to try to further debunk things that have been attacked for decades and decades, why not use AI to try to help substantiate that there's something out there? So I was thinking about potentially using AI not to examine things like video. Basically, AI doesn't have eyes. It can't, it can measure pixels or whatever, and that, but it doesn't work the same as vision and common sense. But I was going to look at it for more statistical possibilities and attack it from that angle, and see if AI could help substantiate the existence of something like this. So I'll have to do a lot more thinking about it. I had the idea earlier when I was in the shower. I was like, why not use it for something like that? Like help to substantiate that there is a question that needs answering, rather than attacking the question itself. So that was my thought. I don't know if it's going to be possible or not. I'm not incredibly well versed in AI, but I have a couple of AI things that AI is not meant to aid humanity. It's meant to control us. I don't know. I don't know if I'm on board with that, Jed, but I appreciate that that's maybe what you feel. But best ideas come in the shower. Absolutely not real Dave Wilkins. I get a lot of inspiration in the shower. Sometimes it's musical stuff, but I surprisingly do some pretty good thinking in there. Go figure. Something about being naked with soap. Magic things happen. That sounded so dumb. I love it. So anyway, that's been a production of tonight's What the Hell Is That? And something that I'm considering working on. So hopefully that might be a good idea. Hopefully it turns out well. At least in my mind, it's a great approach. So we'll find out. Chucky, oh boy. Sorry, didn't mean to make it uncomfortable up in here. But this has been a production of
the hell is that?
All right. What the hell is that? Indeed. I don't even know. All right. We're going to get to the last part of the show. It's perfect timing, actually, because we got just enough time for it. And by God, we're going to use the rest of the time that we got for this. This one's kind of long. And how long is this one? I got 2 articles left from Sasquatch Chronicles. And I think this should be about a perfect fit to read both of these and close out our show tonight. These are both listener emails from Wes, but the part of the show I'm talking about is this one. Ooh, that doesn't fit. Cryptid Corner time, folks. It's time for the Cryptid Corner. Here we go. It's time. Are you ready? What the hell? What the hell? Yeshua says. What the hell is that? Love it. Thank you, Maggie. Glad you like it. I'm glad you guys are enjoying that. 1983 corrosion of conformity just so happened to mention that minds are controlled. Well, I think if you spend any time with psychology and especially advertising, controlling minds is not hard. I mean, there's been governments and studies and such for generations that of how to control people, and there's some scary stuff out there of things that have been attempted and achieved, trying to control people's thinking. Controlling people's thinking is not hard. Just saying. So it won't be anything new from AI. It's been something that's been done on the population for centuries. So just saying. Just saying. Sorry to rain on the parade, but it's not a new advent. It's been perpetuated upon communities and civilization for centuries or better. Every day, you're right, Al. We're being manipulated every day. Thanks, Brent. See you after Wednesday's show. Oh, we'll see you then, Maggie. Are you heading out? Take care. Brent, it is creepy. I'm going to have to send you a sketch of what I was seeing. You will see why I am so creeped out by that crawler. Yeah, send me a sketch. I'd love to see it. All right, here it is. It's time for the Cryptid Corner. We're going to visit Mr. Wes Germer's Sasquatch Chronicles blog. These are listener emails he gets and he posts, and I love these, because there's fantastic stories, even some of the more quick, less eventful ones I find incredibly informative, because with every one of these emails, we're getting a glimpse into something that somebody saw. And I think every one of these, every time you read a witness report, especially dealing with an unknown, it gives us another piece of information, another piece to make up another part of the puzzle. And I think understanding behaviors is probably the best approach going forward into what are we dealing with. And so we got to kind of create a profile of sorts, a behavioral profile, if you will. And these anecdotal experiences are a glimpse into what these things are doing, what was going on when these things happened. And we can look at the narratives to see what brought them in. What was it? What was the catalyzing factor that created this experience? And how can we utilize that knowledge to maybe aim research efforts to maybe be able to more effectively research what these are, where they are, and what they're doing. So I love these listener experiences, people's experiences, encounter reports, and these listener email reports are much the same. All right, let's get to this. From July 27, The Skeleton Caves. That's a little creepy title. A listener writes, the summer of '86 was a hot one. My girlfriend and I were out in Oregon. I was playing some gigs across the beautiful state of Oregon. My camper van was our motel on wheels. Every night after the gig, we searched for a new place to park our camper. God, I didn't read this one already, did I? I might have. We're getting a repeat, maybe. We particularly liked a place outside a city of Bend. Oh yeah, Bend, Oregon. It had a beautiful waterfall, but even that got tiresome. So one day I wasn't playing. We traveled around the area of Bend. Well, nothing looked inviting, so we kept driving out towards the desert area. And that's when I saw an old sign that clearly was from a different era. The sign read, and I was barely able to read it, the Skeleton Caves. Well, I pulled over and looked at the map. Nothing about it, but on closer look it said Skeleton Cave Tours. But the road going to the cave had not been used in many years. Almost grown over, but I was feeling good about finding a cool place to camp for a couple days, so off we went. The road was a dirt road, and it drove like you were on a washboard, so very slow going. Well, then we finally got to the cave. My girlfriend started to get dinner started, but first we went to the cave entrance, which was actually just a hole in the ground. Well, there were steps going down to the cave, and we walked into the mouth of the cave. It went down to total blackness, so we only went maybe 25 or 30 yards. It seemed my flashlight was going dim, so we went back to the camper, where my girlfriend returned to getting dinner ready, which left me to explore the area. Well, then I got a great idea. I had a little generator with me, and I thought, why not start the generator and get my amp out and guitar and put the amp down into the mouth of the cave? And then I fired it up and got down to the first 10 or 20 yards or so, put my guitar on, plugged it in, and kicked it into a distortion mode. I have not read this one before. Damn! Natural reverb. I must have played for an hour and a half, and then I got my electric mandolin out and started rocking out on that for about a half an hour with distortion. Well, dinner was almost ready, so I packed up the generator and my equipment and started my dinner. We had the doors open, everything was great, and then off to the front of my van came the most guttural scream I have ever heard. It chilled me to the bone. I froze. My girlfriend seemed not to hear it. Well, I thought maybe it's just my imagination. Time for dinner. Sitting in the camper, eating, keeping my eyes towards where the sound came from. And then I heard it again. I then asked my girlfriend, surely you heard that? No, she said. In just a few moments, but I had heard two of the guttural sounds that released what seemed to be a fight or flight instinct in me, but I'm a young and strong man, so I was eating dinner. So as I was eating dinner, it was getting dusk. Couldn't see anything in the tree line. My head was like on a swivel. I looking over here, looking over there. Then I heard some small trees and bushes rustling behind us. Well, by this time, I was so jumpy, I actually started to shake a little. And that's when I heard another scream. For lack of a better term, in the same place as I heard it to start with. Then another scream further to my right. It seemed to be answering the first one, and then from the tree line behind us, which was much closer to our camper, came a much deeper scream. I said to my girlfriend, "You must have heard that." I somehow managed to get the courage to get a couple of things I had sitting outside the camper packed up, when all of a sudden all three places where I heard them started to scream. First one, then another, and then one behind us seemed to be communicating with each other and getting closer. The one behind us seemed to be the loudest. I grew up in a house with boys. Testosterone was thick in our home, and we were all afraid of nothing, but this situation had me just about quivering. Well, I had enough of this. It was time to go. Like I said, fight or flight, and now it's flight. I told my girlfriend we're leaving. I then remembered the road coming in here was a slow drive, washboard road and all overgrown trees and bushes, and I realized it was going to be a slow couple of miles. Started the van, turned it around, headed out of there, but I heard what seemed to be an almost childlike repetitive scream. I looked to my right and saw small trees moving with what light I had left to see with. What in the hell could all this mean? My mind couldn't get it rationally understood. So off I drive to the main road. Bad road was too slow, but I was going as fast as I could. Off to the left and off to the right, my head going back and forth, saw something moving in the brush to my left. My headlights were only light there was on that moonless night. Both hands on the wheel, I sped up the pace, not wanting to see what was in the bushes, and finally we got on the main highway and drove about 20 miles before I found a spot to spend the night. I got out of the van walking off all the adrenaline I had in me. I didn't actually see what was screaming at me, but being in Oregon, my thoughts were it was Bigfoot. There was no telling how far that cave system went, and what did they think when I played screaming rock and roll guitar and mandolin down in it, that cave. I never really thought much about Bigfoot. It was just fodder for movies and TVs, but now I'm a firm believer. So this story is a little different. It's not a full sighting, but an audible encounter. Years later, the hair on my arm still stands up just remembering that day. I remember hearing Bear and Coonbo back when they were both doing interviews together, and they said that one of the ways you could really piss them off, the Bigfoot, the boogers, was they would play like Led Zeppelin through loudspeakers, and I guess it pissed those things off. They said, God, they'd get agitated and move in. And I've always remembered that through the years, but yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's not a sound that they would be familiar with. Fake, who has an electric mandolin? Hey, I got a mandolin. It's not electric, but it's a mandolin. I like mandolins. I bought that before I bought my first guitar, believe it or not. Just because I love the sound of a mandolin. It just sounds so enchanting. I don't know. Very cool story, though. Wow. Chucky says, I can vouch for that. Yeah, have you pissed him off with some rock and roll, Chucky? That's crazy. I guess, I mean, maybe the music that we find inspiring and energetic to them is just like a battle cry. Like, oh, you want a piece of this? Okay. I'm just saying, I don't know. That was the first story. We got one more to get through. And we got maybe not even enough time to do this one. Actually, we don't really have enough time. I might save this for next show, because we are down to no time, folks. We ended up burning through the night in a hurry. I hope you guys had a fun time here with me on the show. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of the Paranormal Portal, as always. They don't like Rob Zombie and hard rock. Who doesn't like Rob Zombie? What the hell is wrong with these things? Dig through the ditches and burn through the witches and slam in the back of my Dragula. I mean, what's not to love? Whatever. Maybe they don't like More Human Than Human. White Zombie. Just saying. Maybe they were upset that he stopped. Yeah. Maybe they were into it. They were getting together and jamming. They're like, oh, some entertainment. Hey. What do you mean you got to eat? What the hell? Just saying. It ends with Dragula. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. That's the show. Always a fun time. Good night, all. See y'all next week. Yeah, we'll see you then. Again, I don't know about a Wednesday show, but I'll try. If I can make it back for the Wednesday show, I will. But chances are not looking likely. Just saying. I got a lot of road to get under my wheels for the next several days. So I'll get back to you as soon as I can, though. So until then, I hope you guys take care. Watch for the new podcasts. I'm going to be setting that up in advance so it releases on time on Monday. So definitely tune in. Check out the podcast episode. There may not be a Wednesday live show, but there will be a Friday one. So if I can, I'll get back. If not, just remember, on YouTube, there's about 1,800 and some episodes of the Paranormal Portal from 2017 until today. So there's lots to check out if you want to. Remember to check out Team Water. Check out Team Water. Again, I am part of Team Water, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. That's the crowdfunding campaign started by Mr. Beast and Mark Rober, and I was invited to be a part of it. I put together a video. It's on my channel. I would love for you guys to help us make that $40 million goal for the month of August to install water for 2 million people around the world. And that will be not just here's a glass of water, but it'll be a water supply that'll work for decades. So please go support that if you can. Again, teamwater.org is where you find it, and donate what you can. And if you are a creator, I'm sure they would love to have you letting people know about Team Water as well. So don't be afraid to tank up the Team Water mantle. But that's all I got for you tonight. So I will be back as soon as I can be. But remember, you guys make this all worthwhile. Thank you for all your love and support, and for coming and hanging out with me, for all of the contributions you guys continue to make to the shows. Hi, David Barnes. Good to see you. And Philip Blair, good to have you here, brother. And Ruthie's in. How you doing, Ruthie? And I will be back as soon as I can be. But remember, love you all. Be good. Be kind. Be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody. Cue the credits.